Hi guys, how are you? Hope you all had a good weekend, enjoyed the extra day off. So this is lesson 1 of week 2. So we are the Tuesday the 19th of January, so we're lesson 1 of week 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish off looking at human health and then go on to a bit of chemistry and look at a bit of atoms and solids, liquids and gases and how matter exists in the universe and all that. So it's quite good. And obviously a lot of this is experimenty, so we're just going to have to tiptoe around that and do the theory part. And then, but it'll be good because when we get back, we'll have a nice few practicals to look forward to. So we'll see how we get on until then. Okay, so we go back to the OneNote, okay, and take a look at where we were. So basically what I've put out here on the right hand side is what you should all now have in your homework folder. So what should be in your homework folder now is your pic collage. And you'll see there that if you go into your thing now, I've corrected most of them. I've 4 groups, so I've gotten through a good proportion of them now. So you might see some ticks and some comments on your thing. So you have your pic collage, and this person has put all the positives that affect his or her health. I say a girl. This is a girl, because it's a picture of a girl. And the negatives then: too much on the phone, not enough drinking water, too much TV, that kind of thing. So I've marked that in this person's homework folder. That's one thing that should be in your homework folder at this point. The second thing is down here. So here's a different person's. And the fungal, the viral and the bacterial infections listed there. So you should have this as one piece of work, and this as a second piece of work from early last week. And this was part of the second lesson of last week, was to fill this one in here. So the 3 different types of microbes were bacteria, fungi and viruses. All 3 can cause disease. You were to look at how they behave and how they grow, and then the similarities, and all the answers to these were in the notes. So those 3 pieces of work, number 1, number 2, and number 3, should now be in the homework section of your OneNote. That's all looking at human health, and it'll be important for you to be able to look back on that come exam time. Okay, moving on then to the last part of human health. So I've called this human health last class, and it's in the second week of the lockdown since we are at home. So the last thing to look at with regards to human health is the kind of things that humans have done in order to stop us from coming into poor health from the things that we eat. So I suppose we eat things like bits of animals and bits of plants and nuts and seeds and berries and steak and all sorts of different things. And generally, by the time you get it, it's been dead for a while. Whether it's been pulled out of the ground, if it's a carrot, or whether it's been cut off the body of an animal, it doesn't make any difference. The chances of it getting to your plate within a day before it starts to decay, before these nasty bacteria, viruses, fungus get to it, is quite slim. So human beings have come across this great way of doing. We call it preservation, of preserving food so that it stays safe for you to eat. And there's different ways we can do that. There's different ways that we can preserve food. We can use heat. We can heat it up. And that's why we heat stuff up really well. They always say if you're heating up a few sausages, you got to heat them really well, or the bacteria and all the things in the sausage will live on and will give you a thing called salmonella, food poisoning, that kind of thing. Or you could super chill it really cold, because all these kind of bad microbes can't survive when they're really cold either. So heat them up, cool them down. Control the amount of water, so you can dehydrate bacteria and fungi and things like that, so that they don't live on in your food. Or, one is important, we can add chemicals to the food to preserve it. Instead of adding chemicals, we don't call them chemicals, we call them preservatives. So preservatives stop food from going off. They preserve the food from going off, and they're quite common in food to keep food from going bad, to stop you from eating bad food, to stop you from getting sick from eating bad food, becoming food poisoned. So they're all different techniques that we can do. Heat it up, make it really, really cold, dehydrate it, so suck all the water out of it, like a pot noodle or a cup soup, dry as a bone, until you add the water to them, or add preservatives to it. And the preservatives have an awfully bad name, haven't they? We don't like to think that our food have preservatives in it. I don't know why, to be honest with you. There must be a reason behind it, which we'll look into later on. But generally, I would think that it's better to have preservatives in my food than me eating food that's full of nasty bacteria and fungus and things like that. But we're going to look into that and see, well, am I better off having it, or are we better off not? You'll often see this kind of sign here, no added preservatives. You'll think, oh, that's much better. But originally, all foods had no added preservatives and people got sick from eating bad food. So now we're going back. We're going from using them to not wanting them anymore. See, if signs like that are 100% natural, no added preservatives. So, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Obviously, we thought it was a good thing at one stage because we invented them. A lot of this is just pictures, but it's there's a reason behind them all. If we have these foods here, so if I was to go out now on a boat tomorrow morning and I was to catch myself a tuna and I was to bring it home and I was to stick it in the fridge, how long would you say I'd get out of that tuna before it would start to go off and wouldn't taste nice and make me sick if I ate it? I don't know, would I get 5 days out of it? Or would I get a week out of it? After that, it's going in the bin. The tuna's gone. Whereas if you have something like this, a can of tuna, and you look at the best before date, you usually get about 18 months to 2 years out of a can of tuna. I don't know, what's the story there? What have they done to the can of tuna that's made it last that long? Because it should be decaying. Is it something to do with the can? Is it something to do with what the tuna's sitting in? What's going on that allows you it to stay fresh for that amount of time? And all these kind of canned foods and tinned foods are usually have a really, really long best before date on them. So you can buy them, buy some for Christmas and then not use them until the following Christmas, and they'll still be fine. And it's all in what they're stored in or what they're preserved in, what's their preservative. It doesn't necessarily have to be something nasty. It could be a preservative that is harmless. So we'll have to have a look into that. This one I find interesting. This British cooked ham. I don't buy this stuff. I prefer this fella here. Look at this guy. You go to the butcher and you buy one of these, and I stick it in the pot on a Sunday evening. I say, right, I'm going to make me sambos out of this for school for the week. But usually by about Wednesday. So I cook this Sunday night. By about Wednesday, I'm getting a bit worried about the ham, that this is being cooked and put in the fridge. Whereas I went on the same day in the supermarket, I bought a packet of this. Now this I'm not so worried about. This ham here usually gets about 10 days out of it, where I get about 4 out of this, because this is preserved. This has a preservative attached to it that keeps it fresh for longer. And it's also much easier than having to put it in a pot and slice it yourself. So this is one of the most popular products in the country. Very, very, very popular, your packaged ham. But the only difference between this and this is that it's pre-sliced and it contains preservatives. This will last a lot longer than this will. Okay. Now, up here we have a nice video for you to watch, and this takes you through all the ways that we can preserve food. So things that we can add to food, things that we can do to food, that makes it stay fresh. Makes it stay fresh and allows us to stay on shop shelves for longer. This one here is a bit of an icky video. It's all about this. This guy, he buys loads of different burgers from different burger chains, and he watches how they grow, how they decay over time. I know one of the ones when I was looking at there the other day, McDonald's chips, they have such a strong preservative in them that over time they don't really decay. They last for a long time, as opposed to a normal chip you made at home in your house, which would be gone after a day or two. So this is nice and short. To be honest, you're going to do most of the work here, so you're going to have lots of time during the rest of the lesson here today, and you're going to this is going to be due by Friday. So again, you won't have a task on tomorrow to do, but in lesson 2, but you will have a task due by Friday, which is this one here. So it's quite complicated. So once you take your time reading through this, because it has a task and it has success criteria down here as well. So a lot of this you're going to do yourself. And the task is, I want you to research, how is tin tuna preserved? What's in tin tuna that preserves it? How is processed ham preserved? How is milk preserved? And how is crisps, packet of crisps, how are they preserved? So they don't get contaminated with all the things that you don't want to be eating, these microorganisms that we looked at the last day, and make us sick when we eat them. I also want you to look at, how do preservatives impact human health? Why do we have this negative thing about preservatives? What is it about them that causes us not to want them in our food? And finally, I want you to research, how have humans preserved food throughout history? You've probably done them in your history. What have they done to preserve food? So a little more basic ways than we would do it now. And this time, I want you to put your findings into a keynote. So I want you to make a keynote presentation. And again, that goes into the homework section of your OneNote, and I will have a look at those later in the week. So you're thinking, oh, that's an awful lot. How do I put that into the piece of work? So first off, a lot of it's going to be you on researching and looking into tin tuna, processed ham, milk and crisps. So what you're going to have on your keynote, you're going to have a title slide. So food preservation by your name. Then for each slide, you're going to have a picture of the food. So a picture of milk, a picture of ham, a picture of tuna and so on. Grab those off Google Images. You're going to name the way this food is preserved. This is where it comes into exams, and what they might ask is, name a food preservation technique. So you're going to name the way it's preserved. And then you're going to say, well, if milk, for example, is preserved by pasteurization, well, is that something that could impact human health in a good way or a bad way? So it could be a good way because it kills all the bad things you don't want to be eating. But is there a negative to what they use to preserve ham or milk or tuna or crisps? And last, a slide that shows how humans have preserved food throughout history. So how have we preserved food throughout history? You probably heard of through your history, salting and stuff like that, and salting meats and things like that, curing, that kind of thing. So that's all I want from you. That's your only task I'm going to do this week. The next day we're moving on to matter. So we're moving on for our first time to have a look at chemistry. But before that, I want to see this task. Here's your success criteria down here. Here's your task up here. And also, I want to see this in your homework section. And then when that's done, we will move on to a bit of chemistry the next day. Okay, right. Have a great week, everyone. And of course, I am on Schoology or I'm on email if you need any, if you have any questions or you're not sure or something, or you can't access something. I will talk to you the next day. Thanks. Bye-bye.